feel like a learning that I'm highly sensitive has really just allowed me to be so much happier.
Welcome to the Highly Sensitive Podcast. I'm Lauren LaSalle, and I'm a former therapist, a highly sensitive person, and a boundary and self-care coach for highly sensitive people. My goal for this podcast is to create a feeling of community, be a supportive place for HSPs, and to normalize our experiences as highly sensitive people, because I'm pretty sure we've all spent way too much time feeling like we're weird or don't fit in. Well, guess what? Here you fit in perfectly. This podcast will give you tools to better understand yourself, help you learn how to care for yourself as an HSP, and how to view your sensitivity as a strength. So thank you so much for being here and for joining me, and let's begin. Hello everybody, it is a beautiful spring day today in New Hampshire. I hope it is getting to be springy where you are. If it's supposed to be spring and if it's supposed to be another season, then I hope it's getting to be that season. I don't know. So I have a couple updates for you today. The first one is that on May 2nd at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be doing a masterclass on self-love and acceptance, because I know that is a big topic for HSPs. And this episode, my conversation with my guest in this episode actually kind of influenced this decision and made me come up with this idea. So May 2nd at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, it is $10. I will put the link to register for that masterclass in the episode description. If you are not able to make it at that time, but you would like to attend this masterclass, you can still register, and it will be sent out to everybody who registers so you can watch it after it's done. And I will say, if you are on my Reclaim app, if you have the all access plan, you will be able to watch that masterclass for free for the fee of the all access plan after it is done as well. So if you have that plan on my app, no need to attend the masterclass live, you will be able to access it. So that brings me to my next update. So on the Reclaim app is where my HSP community is housed, and we have our next Zoom meeting on April 27th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. If you are at all interested in joining this community, it is $60 for a 3-month community plan on the Reclaim app, and I will put the link to the app in the episode description. If you would like to join us for this meeting, please sign up. We have a lot of fun during our meetings, and it would be great to have other people there as well. My last update is that I am working on redesigning all of my programs. So what that means for coaching is that I right now am offering hour-long sessions at $100 an hour, or pay what you can. So if you have been wanting to work with me, but maybe didn't want to sign up for a full program, or you just want to meet with me for one session. So if you are interested in this, send me an email at lauren@laurenlasallecoaching.com, and we will schedule this. I am only seeing a very limited number of clients each week. So if this is something you want to do, and you, especially if you have time constraints, make sure you email me so we can get this scheduled as soon as possible. All right, so that brings me to today's guest. So her name is Melanie Spence, and she sent me quite a paragraph to read as her intro. So here's what she wrote. My name is Melanie Spence. I'm an extroverted, highly sensitive person with ADHD and some OCD tendencies. I discovered that I'm highly sensitive almost 2 years ago at the age of 41. I'm 43 now, a mom of 2 awesome kids, 12 and 8, wife to an incredibly patient and understanding man, and an educator for children with special needs. My family and I live just outside the small village of Westport in Ontario, Canada. In my spare time, I love to spend time playing tennis, doing yoga, tie-dyeing, dancing and listening to music, connecting with people, collecting crystals and gems, and hanging out at my family cottage. My sensitivities include emotions, intuition, and notices subtleties as well as fabrics, smells, noises, volume, scents, temperature, textures, sleep, change, caffeine, scary movies, anything bloody or gory, rejection, being embarrassed or teased or hurt. My eyes are also very sensitive to the sun and snow, and even my back and neck are extremely sensitive to touch during massages. I would say my sensitivities impact most, if not all, aspects of my life. I believe being an HSP has allowed me to bring my gift of connecting with people with special needs on a deeper level to the world. I absolutely love my job and feel I was put on this earth to connect with kids, especially those who need a little extra love. I am a very passionate person and pride myself on making other people feel special. Now that I am aware of my trait, I am able to embrace it so I can better understand myself, process situations more clearly, and look at perspectives more openly, which allows me to live more contently. What I want other HSPs to know is that we have been given an incredible gift, so share it proudly. Be sure to reflect on situations before internalizing. Learn about yourself and your trait, trust your intuition when you're in a flow state, and connect with the HSP community because we, of all people, know how effective support and connection can be for one another. The most reassuring moment for me has been realizing that other people in the world also feel deeply about things that others seem to find insignificant. I thought I was the only one. I am so thankful for Lauren's podcast because we now have a place to connect with others who may have thought they too were the only ones that felt this way. Melanie, thank you for saying that last part, especially. It really means the world to me to hear how much this podcast has positively impacted you. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That is the reason why I started this podcast. So I'm glad that people are really benefiting from it. Melanie and I had a really fun conversation. I had so much fun talking to her. We talk about her diagnoses, getting diagnosed with ADHD at 41 years old, how being highly sensitive impacts her job, how she has learned to set boundaries at work and in her life, and how she has learned to take care of herself now that she knows that she is a highly sensitive person. Here is my conversation with Melanie. So what was your experience like discovering that you are highly sensitive?
Well, it's a bit of a long story, but so I guess it all kind of started when I was diagnosed with ADHD at 41. I'm 43 right now. And so I was diagnosed with ADHD. And then, so I, of course, started learning all about it. I wanted to know more and, try to find ways to not cope, but just live with it, I guess. And so I talked to people. I did a little digging, and I had discovered that somebody that I know who's around the same age, also female, confided in me that she also has ADHD. So we really connected there. And then from that conversation, or one of those many that we had, she had told me about RSD, it's rejection sensitivity dysphoria.
Mm.
And I was like, what? I'd never heard of such a thing. I couldn't believe that something like that had a name. So, of course, I did a little digging of that and discovered the highly sensitive character trait. And of course, took the quiz and learned all the things and scored true to every single question on the questionnaire in the book in Dr. Elaine Aron's book. And so that was pretty eye-opening. So after I learned about RSD, then I have a very close friend her name will likely come up a bit today. Her name is Crystal, who I often seek her guidance and her advice, and she's a great sounding board. And anyway, so I was saying to her, I think, in all of this, I'd had a really tough time at work. So I was talking to her about that, and I was feeling the effects of what was happening at work really deeply. And I said, I don't know, I think I'm just too sensitive to work with other people, because whatever was happening at work, I was like, and she's nodding, like before I got my sentence out, nodding, say, like as if to say, yes, you're sensitive. But she didn't want to put those words in my mouth, but she was so happy that I guess it came to me in my own way. And she's like nodding and like saying, yes, you're sensitive. And then, so I guess it kind of went from there. Then I wanted to learn all about, and then I guess, well, she knows quite a lot about personalities and things like that. So then I learned about the highly sensitive trait. And then, of course, I started listening to podcasts, and that's where I found you.
Oh, yay.
So
Wow.
of course
So,
I started listening to podcasts and listened to all of them, and you know it's just been so relieving for me. Wow, I had no idea that this was okay. Like being this way was not only okay, but like actually pretty wonderful.
mhm. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that
Because
listening to a podcast have helped you realize that too, and
oh
understand that there are like so many other people that can totally relate to what you are, I don't want to say going through, but like what you experience.
no, but yeah, yeah. Like I once I learned about HSPs, I'm well, it all makes sense now. And what I found really funny was like anybody I told, close friends would be like, "Yeah, we know." I'm like, really? I had no idea. I really didn't. I didn't know that there was such a thing that other people felt this way. I thought I was the only one that overreacted or like or maybe not overreacted, but I guess felt things so deeply when other people seem to be able to brush it off.
Mhm.
That was one of the hardest things for me. It was relieving to know that other people feel so deeply about things, yeah, that other people just seem to roll off their shoulders. And I always wondered why. How do you do that? I don't know how.
Yeah.
People say, just let it go. And anyway, now that I know, I'm learning, that how to process these things, and that, and also to take a step back and look at perspective more, and not take things quite so personally, and you know things like that.
Mhm. Yeah. Wow. So it sounds, I think it's so amazing. I feel like when so many of us discover that we're highly sensitive, then we're really able to start sort of working on, how do I help myself? Like, how can I be there for myself? Because before we discover that there's this thing called high sensitivity, it's sort of like you're just lost and floating and you're like, I know something needs to happen, but like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. But this sort of defines, like, here's what you can do for yourself as a highly sensitive person. It's like
Right.
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, just being able to stop and tell myself, okay, maybe this is just me being highly sensitive, maybe, in this situation, and taking a step back before, and I'm talking in terms of like the emotional HSPs, but I also have like, and I also have all the other traits of it too,
Mhm.
like all the fabrics and the scents and all the textures and all the things, sleep and temperature and volume and all the things. So anyway,
So you had mentioned work toward the beginning of the episode. So how you said, what did you say about work? That you're too sensitive to work with a lot of people or something along those lines. So how did that change, or was there anything that after learning that you're highly sensitive, you were able to sort of implement at work to help yourself?
yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been told many, many times that being sensitive, it is my greatest strength and also my biggest weakness, and at work. And so just hearing that was really offensive to me at first, but now I think that I can kind of understand it a little bit, why some people would say that. But in terms of like how work, well, I'm an educational assistant, so I work in a school. I work with kids with special needs, and so and kids who are struggling affect me very deeply. So that is hard for me to process sometimes as an HSP, but I guess now that I know, I'm sort of able to leave it at work more than I used to be able to, because now I know what it is, what's bothering me or what not bothering me, but what's making me a bit anxious and also, I would also at work, I would always walk by a teacher in the hall or somebody in the hall and they'd, maybe not smile at me. And I think, oh, what did I do? And they're so mad at me. But I, now that I know, I think, wait, no, what would, what evidence do I have to prove that why would they be upset with me? I haven't done anything wrong, but so I'd always internalize and personalize that kind of thing. So I feel as though that I'm not quite as, I don't feel like I'm being personally attacked all the
Mhm.
time.
Yeah, I feel like that's a
Yeah,
big one. It's a
really.
big one, and it's hard to kind of get out of sometimes, especially if you're just that's how you've always felt. Like we're so good at noticing how people are feeling or interpreting how people come across. Maybe it's not how they're feeling, maybe it's just how their face looks to us. So yeah, I think that can be a really
Exactly.
hard thing to sort of work on.
Yeah, yes, definitely being like the intuition and the subtleties, being in tune with subtleties and
Mm,
people's moods definitely affect me. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I guess now knowing that, it's easier to sort of be able to set it aside, I guess. Or
mhm,
like they say, let it go, you know.
mhm. Yeah, and I used to have a similar job too, so I just wanna
Oh
say
yeah.
that is a really it's like it's so rewarding, I think, and it makes sense that you're in that job because we tend to go gravitate toward helping jobs, and it is really hard to see kids struggle even though you're there to help them. Yeah, it's pretty it can be pretty draining and difficult at times, so
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. I was really taking on heavy, heavy, heavy loads, of stories of students and, always wanting to help and like trying to find time in my schedule to do extra for those kids and like
Mhm.
even just like making a batch of muffins to bring into the class because I know they're hungry or like or anything at all, any little thing, remembering their birthdays and like bringing, which I still do, but I have set a boundary.
Mhm. Ah,
Yeah, yeah,
yay!
as far as that's concerned. Yes,
Nice.
so you have taught me a lot about that, as
Oh,
has
I'm glad.
yes, yes, and also Crystal, my friend that I spoke of earlier, yeah, I
Mhm.
had no idea what boundaries were or how to set them. No
Right.
clue. Yeah, I'm very much a people pleaser, so setting boundaries has been life-changing for me.
Mhm. Oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. It was for me as well, and that's
Mhm.
sort of why I wanted to be specifically like a boundary setting coach because so many HSPs, we're just used to being there for other people and going way out of our way for other people. And sometimes I think we don't realize how it negatively affects us because we're just focused on how it's helping them.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, that's definitely how I feel.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true. Yeah, but I am learning to pump the brakes a little and, focus on me a little more. Yeah, because, I'm very sleep sensitive too, although I sleep really well. If I don't, ooh, that's not good,
Mhm.
and yeah. So it's important to make sure to set the boundary of going to bed and,
Yeah.
on time because I find for me, I need so much downtime too. So I get home from work, and because I've got this heavy load and I've got 2 kids at home, and so but I really need downtime. So by the time everything's done and lunches are made and all the things in the evening that need to be done, it's 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So I stay up really late so that I can have my time, but
Mm-hmm.
it's, although I am getting my me time that I need, it's affecting the rest of my life, I guess, the next day and so on,
Right.
So
Yeah.
going to bed on time is yes, it's important for me.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the tough thing about being a parent too, is that you really have to like, how do I find time for myself? Because sometimes it does seem like it's impossible because you can't just like neglect your family,
Well,
like
that's
there's
right.
that
Yeah, the kids,
boundary too.
yeah, they have to eat, and
Yeah.
my husband travels for work, so he's gone most of the time. Well, he's gone through the weeks. So it's, yeah, so it's a lot, and then builds up,
Mm,
but I'm also like an extroverted HSP, so I'm a busybody, and I like to keep busy and do all the things, and I got to keep up with I got to attend all the things and celebrate all the birthdays, and I'm always out doing something, and so yeah. Anyway, I'm trying to learn to not be quite so busy. It's really hard though, because
mm,
I mean, that's how I grew up. My mom was kind of the same, and was always got to have something. We got to get everything done. Got to get it done. We got to get this done. We got to get that done. But really, do we? I don't know. It'll
right.
still be there. You know,
Hmm.
the
Yeah, that's
laundry.
like a hard thought pattern or like just a pattern to get out of, I think, when you're used to that. Because I sort of dealt with that too. Like things have to be done. It needs to be done. Let's get it done. It's like, I'm so tired. Do I have to? No, not right now.
No, exactly. That's right. Like I'll fold the laundry tomorrow or even the next day. It's still
Hmm.
gonna be sitting there. So just taking a little bit more of a load off of myself, and I tend to put a lot of pressure on myself. So I'm trying really hard not to, or to recognize that, and to try and break that cycle, I guess.
Hmm. Wow, it sounds like you're doing a lot. Like since you learned that you're highly sensitive, you're really trying to do a lot to take care of yourself,
Well, yeah, yeah, I guess. I mean,
which is great. I mean, I
yeah.
think that's awesome.
Well, thanks. I
Yeah.
do. Yeah, I do. I don't know. I guess, I don't know. I feel like, oh, I have a quote for you, but
Ooh.
I have 2 quotes, but I'll wait till the end. So, yeah, what was I gonna say? I feel like learning that I'm highly sensitive has really just allowed me to be so much happier,
Mm,
because I don't feel like I'm weird, or I'm too weak, or I'm too much of a softie, or and I'm setting boundaries where I wouldn't have done before, and and it's huge. It's amazing to see how your life can improve
mm,
when you just set a couple of boundaries and you accept things and embrace them, and and look at it in a different light, as in, you know not only being HSP is okay, but also pretty wonderful, because I feel like being an HSP has allowed me to bring my gift to the world, which is connecting with kids with special needs,
mhm,
and I feel as though I do it well, because I do feel things so deeply and empathically, I guess.
mhm.
Yeah. And I really love my job, and I feel confident in my job. that's where I feel the most confident, I guess.
Mhm.
And so I'm a very passionate person, but my job is definitely one of my passions.
Mhm. Well, those kids are really lucky to have you. I mean, I know at least in my area, that's a job that is really lacking in people right now. So it's tough. I really feel for those kids that need extra assistance and just don't have anybody there for them. So
I
those kids
know.
are really lucky that you're there.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I hope that I'm making a difference in their lives. I feel like
Mhm.
I am. I lots of past students keep in touch and,
Oh,
so,
wow.
yeah, it's yeah, I am also an early childhood educator, so in kindergarten or preschool, I can also I've started my career doing that, but I really have more I feel as though my purpose in the world is to connect with kids with special needs or people with special needs, not necessarily kids. But
Mhm.
yeah, I really make an effort to make them feel special.
Mhm.
And modeling that, I guess, for other students is so important too, and
Yeah.
modeling the empathy, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sorry, I don't did I go on a tangent there?
oh, no. There's no such things as tangents on podcasts. At least that's
I'm close.
what I think.
Yeah. Well, I like the way you think then.
Well, was there anything else specific that you wanted to make sure to share or talk about?
I guess I would just I mean, I would like to say that growing up, my best friend, she and neighbor, she had special needs. So I think maybe that's where part of my gift began, I guess. I mean, it obviously is innate and my sensitivities are have been inherited. I'm certain of that. But growing up with Ellie is her name, my mom always said that, I was just so natural with her. I communicated so easily and I just, engaged with her and I didn't even know the difference. Like I
Mm,
didn't even really realize that she had special needs. She's Ellie, she's my best friend, we're
mhm,
having a sleepover. So I guess that's kind of where being an HSP and becoming an EA sort of began to align at a very early age.
mhm.
And yeah, so I just wanted to mention that because Ellie's special to me and she's still my best friend and she's a bridesmaid in my wedding and she
Aw,
yeah, anyway,
that's
she's
awesome.
she's so lovely. And I did want to share two quotes.
Yes, I love quotes.
I know you did. I also love quotes.
Oh,
So I wanted to say my very favorite quote of all time is by Maya Angelou, and maybe you know it, but people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
mhm,
That has always rung true to me. It always has like hit me deep, I guess, because I definitely remember the way that people make me feel either positively or negatively, I suppose.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so and I guess in terms of my job, I feel like my educators were significant in my life, and I'm so thankful for that and for having such a wonderful experience in the education system in elementary school. So that quote really speaks to my heart in terms of reflection on those years of my life, and I guess that's what I strive for in my work, I guess.
Mhm.
So that quote, I've always loved it. And then this next one I saw on Instagram, and it was self-care with Wall on Instagram. I don't know if you
Oh,
follow that one, but it said sometimes your heart needs more time to accept what your mind already knows.
mm. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought that
that's
was
a good one.
cool. Yeah, I thought that was cool. Sometimes your heart needs more time to accept what your mind already knows. And I thought that was good for me because I tend to be such a deep thinker and I process things quite slowly. So, but my heart is always open. It's
Mhm.
just sometimes my mind takes a little while to catch up to my heart.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like it could go for the other way around too. Like it could go either way.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, the Maya Angelou quote is definitely my favorite.
I love that one. Yeah, and I feel like that's sort of like the positive side of being a people pleaser is that we really focus on how people are feeling. So if we're able to do that with boundaries, then it's
Yes,
like perfect.
yes, yes, absolutely. As long as the boundaries are set.
Hmm.
Yeah, yes, they are so important. Thank you for, I want to say thank you to you for like giving people a voice and HSPs particularly, of course, but it's so nice to hear other people's stories and and podcast is the best way to share and to hear it and to connect, you know, and to just to know that other people feel this way.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, thank you for saying that because that's the whole reason that I started this. I
Well,
mean, I had no idea how many people would even find this or listen to it, but the amount of people that I've already had on as guests, and I still have quite a list to go, and it's
awesome.
just, I think it really, like, that's so true. Like, just hearing somebody's voice saying who you have no idea who they are, but they're saying things that you've also felt and been through and you're like, "What the heck? Who is this person? And
Yeah,
like, why are they living my life?" Because I've
exactly.
never
How
met
do they
anyone
know me?
else. Yeah.
Yeah, how do they know me? And like so many times, I think in my first email to you, I said like every episode, I'm like nodding my head, yes, yes, you know, like I how can other people know me so well? How are other people feeling this way too? I thought I was the only one.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I know that I mean I've met so many HSPs that we all feel so isolated and alone, I think. Yeah, even before we discover we're highly sensitive and even after because we're like, okay, so I feel a little bit better now, but like do other people know like who else is out there? And so
right.
just having like regular people on this podcast, not, industry experts or whatever, big public figures. Like that was my
Right.
goal because it can be so therapeutic to share your
Absolutely.
story and then to hear other people share
Yeah.
similar stories. It's just I think that's truly one of the best things that you can do for yourself.
A
So,
100%. It's been life changing for me. I mean, I'm so, so thankful. So thankful.
oh, well, thank you. That means a lot to me because yeah, that's like all I want is just for people to not feel alone and to be able to give them tools that can help them in their life and connect with other HSPs because I feel like there's something so special about getting on here with a guest and we both know we're highly sensitive, so we're like, I already kind of like get this other person even though we've never met before.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. I wanted to say an episode that you had Joanne Kim. I think you've got two with her.
Yes.
Yeah, I really enjoy listening to her. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's great.
I'm
She
reaching.
knows her stuff. I mean, I feel like she could just talk about emotions and all that for like hours and hours. Which is
Mhm.
probably the truth. But yeah,
Yes,
she's amazing.
I'm planning to reach out to her. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also, I wanted to say one other thing. It's funny in the classroom. I can almost like I feel as though I can pick out the kids who are HSPs.
Hmm.
It's so, yeah, it's so funny. And a lot of times I'll I'll say to them, I know how you feel. Like I and they know that I mean it, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
That's big. That's huge for them.
Like because I can relate and I'll say, I know how that feels, and I remember feeling that way, or I felt that way too, and talk about an experience that was similar that I've been through. And even with my ADHD, I'm open with it. Most of the kids, I'll say to them, yeah, well, kids will say, well, I'm dumb or something. And I say,
Mm-hmm.
you are not dumb. And you know how I know that? It's because you learn differently. You learn like I learn, which is differently.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean it's these four walls. Not many people can learn this way.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of people that don't learn by sitting in a classroom. And sometimes I say that. I know I'm whispering and I don't know why because there's nobody here. And I'm talking out of turn. I like, but anyway, I just try to relate to them, and just share my experiences within reason.
Yeah.
But
That's amazing. I mean, if I'd had somebody in school who did that for me, even
same.
just noticing that I'm quiet and maybe even understanding why that is, would have been just like life changing for me. So wow, I mean, you're doing great things for those kids, truly.
Well, thank you. In picking up on subtleties too is definitely helpful,
Mm,
when working with the kids and yeah, like you said, like just noticing a difference in their mood and, just going over and, whispering, if you need to talk, I'm here,
mhm.
you know, it can be so meaningful.
Yeah,
But anyway, enough
yeah.
about me.
Well, that's why you're here. Well, is there any way that people can connect with you? Would you like people to connect with you?
I mean, yeah, of course. I'm not I that's one of the things that I do set a bit of a boundary on with social media. I'm not huge on Facebook or Instagram. I mean, I'm on both of them, just Melanie Spence and Mel Spence 17, I think, on Instagram. But I'm I would love to connect with people like HSPs if anybody wants to chat, and share their experiences and we could, connect that way. And I'd be totally into that. Um, but I'm just not like, don't expect a reply like within, you know, 30 seconds
Yeah.
or like 3 or 4 days. That's
Mhm.
all. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
But
awesome.
definitely like yeah, it's just that I have to set that boundary a little bit for myself too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, I get
Yeah. Of course you do.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And I also appreciate that you brought up having ADHD too, because I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who have also been, especially adult women, diagnosed with ADHD as an adult. I feel like
Yeah.
that's something that a lot of people sort of deal with too. So thank you
It
for
seems
sharing
to be
about
becoming
that.
more common, I find, in women right now, it
I
seems. But
I think
yeah,
they're like sort of changing how they see ADHD in women and same thing with autism, and I think that's why more women are being diagnosed as adults and sort of were missed as kids because the diagnostic criteria is more for boys.
absolutely. That's right. Yeah. The testing system is mm, not ideal, I
Yeah.
guess. Just there's room for improvement there.
Yes. Oh, yes, 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 yes. For sure. Well, thank you so much. This was,
Thank you.
awesome. It was so nice to talk to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for yeah, sharing our stories and allowing people to connect this way. It's so important. I'm so grateful.
Thank you so much for listening to the Highly Sensitive Podcast. You can help support the podcast by taking a minute to rate and review it, share a favorite episode with a friend, or become a subscriber on Patreon at patreon.com/highly sensitive podcast. Visit laurenlassallecoaching.com for free resources, information about my coaching programs, and to join my email list. You can connect with me on Instagram at Boundaries by Lauren or email me at lauren@laurenlassallecoaching.com.